Very good evening. You're watching NDTV with me, Rishika Barwa. The big focus story is on the big announcements that have been made by the Finance Minister. Help for migrants, for farmers, for street vendors was on the agenda for today's press conference. Free food grain for 2 months has been announced for migrant workers. Free food will also be given to non-card holders. So free food for all non-card holders under the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme that the government hopes to implement by August 2020. 5 kg of wheat and rice will be given, 1 kg of pulses per person will be given under this scheme for a period of 2 months. The government has also spoken of rental housing. That's the new scheme that has been launched, affordable homes via the PPP model. The government has also looked at relief for street vendors who have been one of the worst hit people during this entire lockdown period. A special credit scheme has been planned. 5,000 crore special credit facility will be given to street vendors. Easy access for 50 lakh street vendors will be given. 10,000 rupee loans is what they are eligible to. There is a 30,000 crore emergency fund that has been announced for farmers. This, the government believes, will grant relief to 3 crore farmers across the country. 2 lakh crore concessional credit has been given under this scheme.
Even today, unfortunately, and touches all our hearts, we see migrants, family with children with their bags and baggages walking in the roads and going. The first step was Prime Minister asking all of them to stay where they are so that they are safe. Food will be provided, shelter will be provided. Train services शुरू कर दिए तो वो चल जा सकते हैं. Every day 300 श्रमिक special trains can run. इसका पूरे खर्चा रन करने के लिए 85% तक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट लेती है. बाकी 15% state governments will have to spend. Within 3 to 5 hours the trains are provided. The moment they want to come back, hopefully after the lockdown is lifted, they can come back. Free food grain supply to all migrants for the next 2 months. For those who are non-card holders, meaning they are neither under the National Food Security Act, nor are they holders of any state level cards, for them, they shall be given 5 kgs per person of wheat or rice, or 1 kg of chana, so that is for per family, and if the person is remaining without card, he can also get it. We are engaging with the state governments to make sure that they know where these migrants are, they can approach them and give them. We think there are about 8 crore migrants for whom benefit will reach through this free food grain supply. The central government will take the cost and they will not be charged. 3,500 crores will be spent on this intervention in order to benefit migrant workers. We are coming up with a national portability of the cards, which is public distribution ration cards can be used in any ration card, any ration shop in any part of the country as you move along. So national portability, which is now being defined as One Nation, One Ration Card. One Nation, One Ration Card will be implemented, and by August 2020, which is another 3 months, within 3 months, 67 crore beneficiaries in 23 states, which means the 67 crore beneficiary is 83% of all the PDS population that we are talking about. 83% of all the PDS population will get covered by this.
And we have a very special panel joining us this evening to discuss some of the schemes that have just been announced by the Finance Minister. MS Unnikrishnan, the Chairman of CII Industrial Relations Committee and the Chairman and MD of Thermax, is with us in the broadcast. Siraj Chaudhary, he is the MD CEO of the National Collateral Management Services, is also a member of the CII National Council on Agriculture. We have Thiagarajan, who is also the co-chairman of the CII National Council on Agriculture and the managing director of Blue Star. Salil Singhal, who is the chairman of the CII National Council on Agriculture and chairman of the PI Industries, is joining us. Appreciate you, gentlemen, for being with us this evening. Let's begin with first reactions and very quick reactions on the government waking up to the crisis of the migrants, the street vendors, the farmers. It's been 50 days that we've constantly been bringing stories every single day of the migrants out on the streets of India trying to make their way back home. If I could begin with you, Mr. Unikrishnan, your first reaction.
Well, very positive move today as well as yesterday. A lot of slow announcements. So first reaction is positive. However, what we were expecting to restart the industry, where we are able to get the migrant labor back into the cities of the country so that the factories can restart, well, we need to be waiting and watching. In any case, I fully agree with the government that looking after them at this juncture, when they are stuck in between the place of work and the place of residence in their villages back, it's the first priority. So the government has done all in a spirit, right? 100 marks out of that for that. However, how do we get this 8 crore people back into the place where they were working in the past? Most of the schemes announced will have a medium to long term impact. For example, houses being built, or maybe we'll give affordable housing to be done in PPP.
Right.
By the time the houses get ready, how do we get them? So we need to be thinking about those also. So good measures, but a lot more thinking to be done to ensure they come back and we can restart the factory. That's the first reaction from my side.
Let me then take this to Siraj Chaudhary as well. You're on the National Council for Agriculture, a CII member on the National Council for Agriculture. Of course, there is innovation, insecurity on whether migrants will come back to work in the cities, or will they perhaps find, employment back in the villages. So while we deal with that insecurity, I want to ask you, do you believe 50 days since the lockdown, enough today has been announced as far as the migrants are concerned, as far as the street vendors are concerned?
See, I think there is a realization that the government is faced with a problem. I do not think that it was as anticipated that the magnitude of the problem will be so big. So there have been steps. The Honorable Finance Minister actually clarified all this work that has been done from the 1st of March. In fact, a number of initiatives or the loans or funding that has been done. But I think today the magnitude of the problem is much bigger than what anyone had foreseen, and the kind of stories that we are seeing and the realities that we are seeing on the street has obviously caused much pain to the country, to everyone who's watching it. And therefore what the government is trying to do today, so while this package is really about, I would say it in 3 stages, is kind of talking about migrants who are still moving to the villages, what will do when they are in the villages, and what needs to be done when they come back from the villages. So I think this is an all-encompassing package, although I would have expected that more focus needs to be on what to do when they're going to the villages and what they will do once they are in the villages.
I think what to do when they will go to the villages, what happens if and when they come back, a lot of those questions are still in grey areas. But let's talk about one of the big announcements today, which is the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. Many believe that, irrespective of registration or ration cards or Aadhaar cards, food insecurity, the hunger crisis on the streets of India has been one of the most painful stories that has been told in the last 50 days. Mr. B. Thiagarajan, if I could bring you in here, do you believe this is one of those Der Aaye Durust Aaye moments for the government?
Good evening. Thank you for having me in the panel. I think these measures are very important at this particular juncture. It is a welcome moment. The government has been generous in supporting both agricultural workers, farmers, as well as the migrant laborers.
Right.
From CII, I have been lucky to be part of Rural Urban Connect. Exactly for the past 2 years, we have been working on such initiatives. So I am making an assumption. I am with my dear friend Unikrishnan. I pray and wish that as many workers as possible should come back to work. But they have gone back with anger, despair, anxiety, with a lot of pain.
Yes.
I think it will take a long time, and some of them may stay back. So the Food and Agriculture Center of Excellence of CII has been working on how to revive the rural economy. All our pre-budget recommendations were based on kickstarting rural economy, modernizing it in a bigger way. Right now also we are foreseeing substantial amount of population have moved in there.
Yes.
So our actions are fine. These SOPs, these support are necessary. You go ahead and do that. But you cannot escape getting them productive and participate in the larger economic system.
Yes.
So therefore, we are looking at quite a few things like the market linkages forward,
Yes.
backward, improving
Also,
the agriculture productivity,
yes.
therefore modernization out there, and then anarchic acts which are there, they all have to be worked upon right from APMC Act onwards.
Before we go into that, let me also bring in Salil Singhal into the conversation here, and let me ask you, Mr. Singhal, a lot of the onus for some of the schemes that have been announced today has been put on the states. Do you believe the states are in a position at the moment when they're also battling the pandemic, the ongoing lockdown, the situation prevailing out of the lockdown? Do you believe that it's fair to have put a lot of this onus on the states?
I don't think that is a correct interpretation. Most of the funding is by the central government, and the onus of the state is in execution. Right. Whether you look at Kisan cards or you look at the refinancing by NABARD.
Right.
Because don't forget, agriculture is a state subject.
Mr. Singhal, I'm afraid, and I apologize, I'm going to have to interrupt you there. The Union Health Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, is speaking. Let's dip in and listen in.
To control transmission and prevent recurrence. It is also important to facilitate universal and affordable access to all relevant medical products and technologies, both existing and new. These should be made available in a fair and equitable manner to tackle COVID-19. Indian scientists are working on discovery of vaccine, drugs, as well as development of cost-effective diagnostic kits and various life-saving equipment with the active support of the Government of India. We need to mutually support and share our best practices and explore innovative ways to address new threats and challenges in the post-COVID era. Thanks all of you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Dr. Vardhan, for that brilliant presentation of what is happening in India. Not a small task with all what you have to do across the length and breadth of the country. We appreciate your presentation. Now we move on to the next presenter, that is Canada, by Mr. Michael Thurston, the head of the delegation. So Thurston, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we can. So the floor is yours. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. Chair.
All right, that was of course Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan talking about meeting new challenges in the post-COVID era. It is an important meeting that is being chaired by the Union Health Minister. We'll bring you more on that story and a lot more coming up, but all of that on the other side of what's going to be a very short break. Stay tuned.